Welcome to Keeping Your Business Healthy. Pat and I are changing up things a little bit so that we can have a little more discussion around some of the topics that we've been talking about. We've been telling you how to do things so that you could get up and running quickly and efficiently, even in a remote type of circumstance, no matter the crisis. However, many of the states here in the US are looking at reopening within, say, the next 2 weeks. And that means your business is going to do a restart. Just like a startup would be, you have to take a hard look at what it is that you do, how you do it, and if your finances are going to be able to support the tomorrow that you want. Would you agree, Pat?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of people are getting antsy and they want to go back to work. And I know we're seeing protests around the country where people are saying, hey, reopen, 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 bring the economy back. But before you can do that, you really have to hit the pause button. We've all been working in crisis mode while we've been remote. We've been scrambling to keep the businesses running, to keep products and services coming, off the line. But at this point, before we try or even think about going back to the office or going back to the factory, we have to stop and take an assessment of our finances. What is our cash flow? What is the real cash flow? We have to take a look at our customers. Are our customers still there? Did they survive the quarantine? Did they end in a position where they're going to be able to pay you? And certainly, what are our capabilities? Do our staff, are they going to be able to come back to work? Or are they going to be stuck at home for indefinitely? A lot of schools across the country have decided not to reopen. So you have all these people that thought their days of working from home were behind them once their kids were in first and second grade and were in school all day long. And suddenly they're facing the very real possibility they have to work at home. They cannot go out because daycare for older children, A, is limited in availability, and B, is ungodly expensive. So you have a lot of questions that have to be answered before you can go back. And none of this even touches on the idea that we're still going to have to maintain social distancing. So whether you're in a cube farm or a factory floor, you're still going to have that 6 feet between people, which may or may not be practical in a lot of situations. I mean, you certainly see a lot more of the factory side of things than I do, but wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. You have to rethink all of the layouts and the way you handle all of the work that's going on. And so I was wondering, Pat, would you suggest perhaps starting with some people on site now and bringing people back on slowly? Should we look at only perhaps serving people locally before we try to stretch and go intrastate? Although that won't work for everyone, but would small be better to
Well,
start than large?
it really would depend, which comes back to the idea that you have to take a hard look at your business. Start, I mean, before you even get ahead of yourself with who to service and how to set up your office and do you need to rejig your manufacturing floor, start with the basic question: can you afford to restart your operations the way they were 6 weeks ago?
And that's a great point because that brings up the fact that while you may have gotten some of the PPP money
Right.
or some of the other loans that are out there, that may have covered you for the time that you were in crisis, but it's not going to
Right.
cover for you for the time that you're out of crisis without new loan money. And can you afford to take out that new loan money because it
That,
doesn't
yeah.
get paid back?
Yeah, that is the big question, because it's all well and good that there's loan money out there and it may have a favorable interest rate, but a lot of businesses were really working at bare minimums
Hmm.
before this, and to take on the added debt of that, plus the fact that the cost of goods and services are going up. I mean, the supply chain was bad before because of the trade crisis. And then when China shut down, that just limited to availability, which of course drove the prices up and up and up. So now we're going to be seeing, and it doesn't matter if you're a manufacturer or if you work in an office, that the cost of goods, the products you need to run your business or produce your product or service, are going to be increasing. So not only will you have increased operating expenses, but then you have these loans and these loan payments. Now, they say some of it may or may not be forgivable, and some of it you may or may not have to pay back. But nothing is written in stone right now. It seems to be very much in flux. And as we learned from the PPP thing, not everybody's going to get a loan, even if they qualify.
Well, and one thing I was thinking of related to this is that so many people have been laid off, and yet before the crisis, we were working at full tilt. That means if you're going to come back in and start to move things, assuming that you are able to get all of your supply, there is going to be a rush on talent,
Yeah,
which in and of itself, I would think is going to start to cause inflationary pressures because that talent is going to cost more
yeah,
because there are a lot of people now, yes, out looking for work, but you're looking for very specific people who can do very
yeah,
specific things. And this is very critical, I think. It's not just skill sets anymore. You need people who can look strategically, who can figure out how the business has to adapt, and then what everyone has to do. And that's going to be a much tougher
yeah,
set of things to find.
yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, with the exception, obviously, of the healthcare people who are ironically on furlough across the country, a lot of the people that got laid off are in low-level service positions. So we're still dealing with the lack of qualified employees who can come in with the skill sets that your business needs. Now, I think a lot of this, though, I mean, it comes back to money. And I know I'm always big on the money thing, but you have to have money to run your business. I mean, that's the number one reason businesses fail, is because they don't have money. And it doesn't matter whether you're a one person shop or if you have 500 people on your factory floor. If you don't have the money to operate your business, you're not going to make it. So my first thought is, look at your cash flow. Small businesses tend to operate on a cash accounting system. Larger businesses work on an accrual method. And with the accrual method, you log invoices as revenue even if they haven't been paid. But there comes a point where those revenues that are sitting there waiting to be paid don't count for squat if you can't pay your people. So, I mean, you have to take a hard look at what your cash flow is in real money and real dollars. Then you take it the next level down and look at your customers. Are your customers in the position that they're going to be able to pay you? Are your customers in a position that they can stay in business? Are they able to get the resources they need to do whatever it is they do? And I mean, it just all flows through. I mean, it's all well and good if you have plenty of cash to operate, but if your customers can't pay you, that cash is going to evaporate very quickly.
But on that note, with starting up again, you truly are in a startup mode. You don't have cash flow. You have a better idea of what it costs to run your business because you did it before, but there hasn't been cash flowing into it for a while for the most part. So what in the world can we start to do as we're looking at our finances and getting the sinking feeling that, you know what, that cash in part isn't doing too well here?
Well, I mean, you start with how much you have on hand. Okay. And are you able to make your basic overhead? And then of course you look at all of your resources. Do you have the staff? Do you have the materials you need to produce your product and service? And is your delivery channel still available, and can you still afford it? Obviously the price of oil has gone down dramatically, but the cost of shipping hasn't gone down.
Well,
And it
the
doesn't
ships
matter how
aren't
you ship.
where they need to be.
Well, yeah, but yeah, these are things you have to look at. So you look at, do you have the staff? Do you have materials? Are they available? Do you need to source somewhere else? Is the cost comparable to what you were paying before? Are you paying more, or can you get a deal? Can you partner with somebody maybe and find a way to buy in a larger volume? You also have to look at your customers. Like I said, Can you, are they in a position to pay you? Can you work with them to give them the time they need to get back on their feet? You don't want to burn bridges with a good longstanding customer just because we had this 6-week shutdown. I mean, it's not their fault. So can you give them the help they need as far as extending terms, or can you connect them with a new market, or can you partner with them to reach a new market? I mean, there are a lot of opportunities to be had here. And as you said at the beginning, you can consider this like a reboot. It's like business part two. I don't know, that you have everything in place from before, only now you get to restart it without all the mistakes, with maybe cut some of the things that weren't making money, some of the things you were holding on to because they kind of served a market, but maybe now you cut back on those markets, or you open to a new market, you rejig a product so it serves more than one purpose or serves more than one market. I mean, there is a lot of opportunity, and you have to be realistic about these things. If you're a larger company, you probably have a CFO. If you're a smaller company or a family business, maybe even a mid-sized business, you may not have a CFO. Get one. I mean, I know we're saying save money, be cautious with your money, but having a CFO is an investment in your business, and it's an investment that you need to make. They will be the person that is on top of your finances. And at this point, finance is everything. Finance is the difference between you getting the employee that you want and having to hire a temp.
And for a CFO, you can always hire someone part-time or hire their services
Oh
part-time.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Oh yeah. There are services out there that offer contract CFOs. Just like you can do contract sales, you can do contract pretty much anything now, where people are professionals with a longstanding verifiable work record that can come in and fill the role that you're not capable of doing. And it may not be that you're not able to do it just because you have too many other things to do.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, one of the things, as you were talking, it can seem overwhelming, all of the pieces that have to be considered
Yeah.
very rapidly so that you can get up and moving again. And yet, for a small business who's feeling overwhelmed, I would like to let them know that they're really perfectly positioned, because smaller businesses are more agile than
Yeah.
large businesses. Large businesses do have to work in volume. They may not get the great inventory deals. They may not get the great pricing or be able to negotiate someone's salary down the same way. However, they can move faster. They can find the substitute more quickly because they don't have to buy in huge volumes. They don't have to be efficient about it. They just go, they do it, they're done, and you're back up. And so there's a lot of things to be said for being able to handle things like an entrepreneur in startup mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the bottom line and our overlying message here is that it may not be pretty, but it's time to get serious about the business of your business. And even if the numbers look ugly, you've done this before. You've started probably with relatively nothing. I mean, most companies or most people don't start with more than a $10,000 investment, at least not at the level that I see. So, I mean, you've done this before. All you need to do is gather your team and brainstorm the possibilities. Use quick tools. Use a SWOT analysis to figure out what your pain points are, what your clients' pain points are, and how you can target them. Try something like a business model canvas. Quickly review key areas where, when you're considering new products or markets, or how to change, existing products and markets. When you have a better understanding of your financial position, you are going to be at an advantage because you'll know how much time you have to work with. You have operating expenses for the next 3 months. That's how much time you have to either obtain other financing or come up with a large amount of revenue. If you have 6 months, that's how much time you have. And you will be in a better position having this information available.
These sound great. And I'm looking forward to further conversations, not only about the what's needed, but also the whys behind them, interspersed
Yeah.
with a few more how-tos as we continue going on.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing you soon.
Would like to work with Cynthia and I on a specific topic, we are offering a 20 or 45-minute one-on-one session. To schedule a coaching session, please visit aligningstrategy.com and click the sign up button.